views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hi everyone, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee and welcome to Open BXRX. We've got another fantastic show lined up for you today. You don't want to miss it. Coming up on today's show, we've got it all. You can hear from a community board leader and hear how his district has handled the pandemic and voting. Then we'll speak to an art teacher to learn about the organization and the collaborative work that they are doing to combat food insecurity. Then we'll hear from a New York City singer, songwriter, and guitarist who is releasing her latest album. And then after that, Bobby C has the latest in the world of sports. And then we'll learn about what one organization is doing to empower our Bronx youth. All of this and more is headed your way because, well, let's go ahead. We're open. Hey everybody, I'm your host, the Doc Bob Lee, and you're watching Open, the live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, our first guest is the district manager of Community Board 9, and he joins us today to talk about how his district has handled the pandemic and how they have encouraged voter turnout during this election period. Please welcome to the show, William Rivera. William, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for having me.
I know it's been tough. You're the district manager. Talk about some of the things that you do as the district manager, because that's a tough job too.
Yeah, there's 12 community boards in the Bronx. We're the largest by population in the Soundview area, Cass Hill area, Parkchester area. Basically the same boundaries of the 43rd precinct. And it's been tough during the pandemic. Since March, we have been delivering a lot of food to our family shelters, to our veterans homes, to NYCHA developments, our vulnerable population. I would say easily over 100,000 pounds of food. We partner with Rap for Bronx, ShopRite in our district, York Film Studios, easily over $400,000 worth of food in our district, and we continue to do it every week.
Yeah, it's been a tough pandemic, and we're still in it. The rates are rising again. But they're just not talking about it because the election period is overshadowing a lot of that. But we still have to continue doing what we do and encouraging people, like you're wearing your mask right now, encouraging people to continue to wear that mask, continue with the hand sanitizer. I have it all over the place. Continue to wipe things down, and still, you know, your social distancing. We have to not forget, because all too often we're out there and we see people, even we forget. Sometimes you leave the house and you forget your mask, right? Oh, wow, and you got to go back and get it. It's like sometimes when you leave your cell phone, you got to go back and get it. So talk to that. The people who are out there thinking that everything in New York is slowing down as far as the pandemic, you know, they feel a little more comfortable. Tell them what it's about.
It's definitely difficult to keep that in people's mind for social distancing and wearing your mask. In the beginning, I guess because it was all over the media, and unfortunately fear is what gets people to listen. And now people are getting a little complacent as the rates went down and deaths went down. I see a lot of people not wearing their mask, not social distancing. But there are some people in the public who remind others. And I think we have to stay vigilant. I think we have to help each other out. I think the police are not going to do it. I think as much as we put out posters and we put signs and we keep on reminding people. Sometimes I catch myself if I'm in the elevator. I remember one time I had my mask down and the senior reminded me, hey, could you put your mask up? And, you know, I forgot. I didn't think about it. So we just got to help each other out. And on hindsight, I think we're doing pretty good. And we just got to prepare.
Yeah.
For what's
coming.
What
about the... I know we started the early voting last Saturday. What about those long lines? How did you deal with that?
Early voting was something that was very successful in our district, especially in the Parkchester area. I want to thank my local elected officials for making that happen. We had an early voting site in Parkchester. We had voter registration with the Board of Elections in my district, in my shopping center, next to my office right here in front of ShopRite, where we registered over 40 people to vote. We put ads on Facebook. You know, we really did a really good job getting the word out. And it's the first day of early voting. I went to vote in the morning thinking there was going to be no line. I think around 7, 8 in the morning, whenever the poll site opened, and there was a line around the block at Stevenson High School here in the Bronx. And that was great to see. I think early voting was packed every day from opening to close. It went so well, the Board of Elections extended the hours the weekend before the election from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So it was a great success. So was Election Day. And I think that's something that we're going to continue in our district for future elections.
Yeah, that started like on the 22nd, right? And I think it went well too. A lot of people they were anxious. They were, you know, enthusiastic about getting out there and exercising their right to vote and doing their civic duty. A lot of people volunteered to work the poll sites, and you know, as you can see, people are still doing it now. They have the returns coming in, and they're tallying everything up, and it's tight, it's close, and they're doing their job. And we thank you guys for being on the front lines, helping out with everything.
As a city agency, community boards do a lot. And one of the things we do is increase voter registration and let people know it's time to vote. We can do that. We're proud to do that. The mail-in ballot, absentee ballots was something that a lot of people did because of COVID. Of seniors or vulnerable population that were afraid to go out to vote or didn't want to wait online and be exposed, did do the ballots. So that was important. I know my grandparents asked for it, and I had to give them the information. So that went very well. That went pretty good as well. So. Our next election is June of next year, just around the corner for the Democratic primaries. Remember, they were moved from September to June, so we have an election around the corner, and hopefully, COVID, we could fight COVID till then, and hopefully, it doesn't affect our next election.
Give everybody a heads up. It's a local election, and who's on the ballot? I mean, not who's on the ballot, but who are we voting for?
It's citywide elections, so it will be the primaries for our mayor. Borough presidents, public advocates, city council members. Is a very important election that's going to shape the face of our city. And it's time for us to get together and start healing and moving forward and make our city stronger after COVID and what's going on in our country and in our city. And I think it's going to be a very important election for our city.
And I think more people are into politics now than ever before. So these local elections are just as important as the general election.
Very important. As you saw, I think Joe Biden received the most votes in a presidential election in history. And that just goes to show you how in tune people are, the new narrative. And that's good to see people are involved in politics. And I think that will carry over in city elections next year as a mayor and mayors elect borough presidents. And hopefully we have great voter turnout as well, and record voter turnout in June coming up for our city.
And now we're still waiting for the returns to come in, and we should get that anytime now. You know, you never know. We thought we was going to get it yesterday. We thought we was going to get it last night. It's still going, and maybe sometime today or this evening. Who knows? It's coming.
It's definitely a nail biter. A lot of people thought it wasn't going to be a nail biter. It's closer than what a lot of people think. Regardless who wins, I think it's a time for us just to move forward and heal and get back on track. One thing we learned from the election, the nation is divided. And I think whoever's our next president really has to focus on tackling COVID and healing our nation and getting back together to do the people's work.
Oh, that would be so wonderful to bring people together, moving in the same direction for a common cause. Whew, that would be a sight to see. You know,
you're absolutely right.
I pray to God that something like that does happen, and we can get
everyone will love to see that. I think the more people involved in politics is a lot of people who are I think a lot of people are skeptical and just don't like the back and forth and the fighting, and they want a new narrative. And I think that narrative will sell well, and I think hopefully moving forward, whoever wins and all candidates moving forward, I think that should be the message, healing and getting back together.
Hey, William, where can people learn more about the wonderful work that you guys are doing with CB9?
You could just Google. Yeah, thank you. You could just Google us, Bronx Community Board 9. We have Facebook, Bronx CB9. We have Twitter. We also on Nextdoor. So if you just Google or any search engine you use to search Bronx Community Board 9, like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, sign up for our newsletters, and it's just being informed. That's our pretty much our motto, to be informed.
And we thank you for all the work that you guys are doing in our community. Community Board 9, we praise you, we bless you. Continue to do what you're doing, all right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
You got it. William Rivera, Community Board 9, we call it CB9 out there in the Boogie Down BX. Sound like I'm on the radio, right? We're on TV.
Yeah.
All right, William, take care and thank you so much. God bless.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right, coming up next, you don't want to move. We got a whole lot more for you right here on Open. Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Doc Bobley, and you're watching Open. Hey, you know, our next guest is an art teacher from Yucca Arts, and he joins us today to talk about the services that his organization has to offer and to highlight their collaborative work with the Mott Haven Fridge. Please welcome to the show, Anudez Santana. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And people calling in, they want information to a lot of different things, but
right
tell us about,
right when you started.
Tell us about your organization.
So Yucca Arts is a nonprofit, community-based organization. The difference is we don't rely necessarily on getting like professional companies to host mentors or host so-and-so. They specifically, William likes to reach out to people in the community that, you know, we can connect with the young students. It's not the same when it's someone, let's say, oh, we're gonna get someone from Chanel to represent the fashion aspect.
Yeah.
Whereas it's better to get someone from the community that we can talk to face to face. And it's like, for me, I would say it's almost like when I meet the students, it's like we're friends. Since we're very close in the age range and we live in the same community, we have a lot to talk about, a lot to care about. So they feel comfortable enough to express themselves, and, you know, it doesn't feel like a school environment. It feels like, you know, friends hanging out. And our main focus is to not only let them express themselves creatively, but also, how would you say it? It's like instill confidence in them, because sometimes they come in a little shy, like they don't know if they want to do art or they feel a certain way in school. Whereas when they come to Yucca, those like locks are removed and they get to express themselves, and we push them as much as we can while making them feel comfortable.
That's great. You know, we love Yucca around here. Yucca art, you can get artistic with it too. Now, wait a minute. How did you guys come up with the name, and what does it stand for?
William actually hasn't discussed how he came up with the name. I think it was just a moment, like a spur of the moment thing. You know, after a couple of years of him wanting to experiment with coming up with like ideas of where he should go with the, because, you know, you start something and you don't necessarily know the name until like the very end.
Yeah. What does it stand for?
It stands for Young Urban Christian and Artists. However, although it said Christians, we don't necessarily restrict it. It's not like a religious thing. It's more
It's open to all.
It's open to all. We don't discriminate religion or anything.
Yeah. How has COVID affected the work that you guys are doing with Yucca?
I feel with COVID, I can explain a little bit of how it was before and now with COVID. Before, we would meet with the students in the studio, and wherever they were free, we would talk to them. We would come up with the artworks. We would have them screen print. We would have them do a bunch of activities. But now through Zoom, we have to dial back on a lot of what we offer and restrict the ones that for example, you can't screen print over Zoom. So anything that can be done, like I can teach you how to draw through Zoom, but I can't necessarily teach you how to screen print. So we tried our best to work around the situation. Just, we don't want to destroy the program for the students. We want them to make it feel like, hey, we can still come to the studio, but we also have Zoom meetings for every other thing, so they don't feel overwhelmed necessarily.
Yeah. Well, this is it. Like everybody's Zooming like crazy. Are you are you tired of it yet? There's still a way to communicate, and this is what we have to do. To stay apart so that we can come together later on.
Of course. Yeah, I feel like Zoom sometimes. At first, it was a little shaky just because it's honestly, I didn't even know Zoom existed until my school was all of a sudden like, hey guys, since we can't have class, we're going to do Zoom. But I feel like it's just usually that first session that's you have to like break the ice with them and kind of get used to each other, seeing each other on the screen. But after that, it just becomes like a normal conversation but through a screen.
Yeah, right. So do you have anything coming up that we can look forward to?
Yes, right now we're in the middle of starting, like literally today, we're working on sketches for the mural project coming up in Mawhaven. It's going to complement what's already been done at the Mawhaven Fridge. It's going to be a pantry and a little shack that hosts the fridge. And right now we're collaborating with the students coming up with the ideas. And then we're going to go ahead and paint that very soon. We're thinking about November 14th probably, but the weather can change and so right now that's what we're focused on, and they're like really excited. I was talking to them on Tuesday and they were like, oh my God, they're like jittery.
Well, you know what? Keep our producers abreast of what's going on. Maybe we can come out there and with a camera or something like that and capture it. Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't rain. That's like the main thing. We're like, please don't rain.
Oh yeah, don't bring it. Don't bring it. It should be fine.
Yes.
It may snow, but let's not. No, I'm only kidding. Don't bring any of that stuff.
Yeah. Let's just.
But rain or shine or snow, right? We got to get it done.
Yeah, we got to get it done because it's
about too bad. Then we'll just change the date maybe to the following day. Just have a rain date or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
But, yeah. So where can people contact you to get more involved in what you're doing, or can they get involved in the program?
Yeah. So if anyone is interested in working with us in the UCA program, you can head directly to ucaarts.org. There's all the information you need. And when you scroll down and register, we'll directly contact you and we'll fill you in. So you're not just like registering randomly. And UCA Arts also has an Instagram, same name. And there we post pictures and we share, so you can get more visual and keep up to date with what we offer and what we're doing, especially if as soon as COVID ends, we're going to open up again our doors so we can host everyone again.
Can't wait. Let's go. Let's bring it. I knew that. You want to give a shout out to some of the people who you work with? I know you mentioned another person a little while ago and some of the crew that's helping make it happen.
Yes, of course. So a big shout out to William, of course. He started the company and, he's just an amazing person. I'm glad he's even thought of me to represent UCA, first of all. And also a big shout out to my co-mentors, Aaliyah and Nancy. I hope you guys are watching.
Oh, they're going to give you a big hug, a big virtual hug now.
Yes. I can't wait to meet them in person again. And also a big shout out to the students. I know sometimes they're a little shy, but we love them the same. Jari, Sari, we see you, we hear you. And yeah, shout out to Jesus.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Well, thank you. You're representing well. They've chosen a great person to go on and do these Zooms. It's like you're on TV live,
Oh, don't tell. I'm just gonna pretend we're just here.
It didn't make you nervous or anything, right? You've been on TV before. It's okay.
Only just a few minutes before the meeting, but I knew that because this is coming from a place of love that as soon as the camera started rolling, that it was not really a big deal. That it's just I just want to share what has been brought up to me.
Yeah, and that's great. You've done a fantastic job. We praise you. We thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Anudez Santana, Yucca Arts. Thank you for all that you're doing and what your organization is doing in our community. We praise you and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We've got more coming up next on Open. Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee, and our next guest is a New York City singer, songwriter, and guitarist. She can play, she can sing. She joins us today to talk about her new song, Shoulda Been. That's from her latest album, Two Sides. Two Sides. Please welcome to the show, Kirsten Thien. Welcome.
Hello.
All right, how are you? So I've been hearing about you. They said that you can really belt some notes, yeah, and you can play that guitar. So and you can write.
I got the surprise factor.
Yeah. And how did you get involved in all of this? When did you get involved?
Well, I started singing when I was a young girl, and then as I was growing up, talent shows in church and whatnot. And then when I got to college, I got more into popular music and also joined a jazz band that focused on the music from the 20s to the 40s in New Orleans. So that's where I learned about the blues.
Whoa.
Yeah, from the really early spins.
So Kirsten sings the blues.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that could be an album. I don't know.
Next one.
There you go. Oh, I want credit.
Yeah. You can write the liner notes. I love
there
liner
you go.
notes.
Okay.
Yeah, so just got into it, and I started as a singer, but at some point I realized I wanted to start writing songs. So that's really kind of led to the longevity of my life in music, is the writing has always driven that. So
yeah. Is it mostly the blues or only the blues, or?
No, not at all. When we talk about the record, I let the music guide me, and I have a lot of influences. I was growing up as a kid, I listened to only pop radio in the 80s. So, there was that. And then, started getting into the blues and roots music and, rock and roll, and then started, hearing my dad's rock and roll come back to me through the blues that came before it. And so there's so many influences, so I always let the muse guide me. And so it doesn't always guide me to a straight blues song. It could be anything.
Yeah. So your dad, you have a musical family, and he was one of your main influences, right? Who are some of your other influences?
Well, let's see. I'll never forget when I was a kid. I grew up in Maine, and I'll never forget there was an ad for a show called Moonlighting. And it had Bruce Willis. He popped up and he started singing Respect.
Yeah.
And I heard Aretha Franklin for the first time through that television ad. And so Aretha is one of my biggest influences. Love her. And of course, the early blues women, Ida Cox, Bessie Smith, Ma Rainey, it just, and Bonnie Raitt, of course, you know,
Yeah.
she really gave credit to the blues and you know, through her, I discovered a lot of earlier blues and some of the guitar players that I wasn't really into guitar at the time. You know, I was really into singing, but started to get into the guitar stuff too. So it's just
Yeah.
Buddy Guy. I wrote a song for Buddy Guy on my next record. So
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
How did you meet up with Sandra DaCosta and the Bouillon Foundation?
Oh goodness, we met a number of years ago through our friend Ed Keene, who's an agent for Nina Freelon and others, and through my mentor Ann Ruckert. And I started doing some school visits with her and playing music in the schools and just getting up with my guitar and singing songs. And actually, so there's a song on the album called Say It Out Loud, and it was so, you know, it's a song about dreaming and just, you know, you got to say it out loud, then people will help you. And all of a sudden, you know, you get this force of nature behind you to follow your dreams.
Yeah.
And singing that song with the kids in the school and getting them to go, say it out loud, say it out loud.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah, I mean, just like, it's just amazing.
I got a microphone. Here we go.
Say it out loud. Yeah, so I mean, just to hear a chorus of kids singing that back to you, it's just, there's nothing like it, nothing like it.
Excellent. And so this music that you've been doing, what are you thinking about doing after this? I mean, you know, after, because there's always a new project coming that you have, and you're putting it out, and the name of the album is Two Sides.
Two Sides, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's actually on vinyl. I love all the vinyl behind you.
Yeah. I forgot that was there. It goes all the way down. It goes all the way up. Let me see if
you got a lot of records, and those are heavy.
Yeah.
I got 20 of them right here, and they're like,
oh yeah. And you know,
20.
and DJing used to carry them. You know, we used to carry them out there.
Oh my God.
That's how we kept in shape.
You absolutely did.
But you have real vinyl for the music that you have out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vinyl comes out Friday, November 13th, a week from tomorrow. Yeah.
See, Kirsten, a lot of people thought vinyl was over, you know, but people are still doing it. People still want it. They want to put that needle on the record.
Oh gosh. I mean, I did that. To me, I did that when I was a kid. So I don't know how much of it's nostalgia, but I do know some young people who are really into it. But yeah, when we started working on this project, you know, we talked a little bit about the genres, and a lot of the songs on the record are different kinds of genres. They have a different musical feel. So I kind of started to think about it as two sides to a 45, really. And guiding the record and the ordering of the songs so that someone would have a real experience. And then we decided to put it on vinyl, and that was it.
Wow, two sides, that's right. Side A and side B. So you took it back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so okay, there's the identification right there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the side B was better than the side A and vice versa.
Well, oh gosh, I love that you said that. I totally agree, because you know, in the music business we say, do you have an A side? Does she have an A side? Yeah. But there's so
Sandra
many
knows.
times. What?
Sandra knows.
Yeah, that's right. Do they have an A side? So you know, to me, it's, you know, I love the discovery of turning that album over and what's next. And we lose a lot of that in the streaming world. It's just kind of all over the place. But, you know, when you really pick that record up and turn it over, you get that little pause of discovery, you know, and anticipation.
Yeah. So the one that you're focusing on right now is Shoulda Been or Should Been?
Shoulda Been. Mm-hmm.
Shoulda Been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the first song on the album. It's a song about no regrets. You know, a lot of the things I should have been in the song is I should have been a basketball player.
Yeah.
I could never be a basketball player. I don't want to spend time or waste time thinking, oh, this is what I should have done or should have been. It's more
right.
I'm going to be who I am and make it work.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
So what did it take to put all of that together? Were you feeling how did that come about?
Well, the song was actually recorded way before COVID, so it's an interesting sort of straddling of, you know, you did something before, and there's like the before and the after the lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we were just about ready with the whole record, and then, you know, the lockdown happened, and we postponed everything. And so when June came around, we decided it's time to go. We got to get this puppy out, and you know, we're gonna be locked down for a long time, so we got to figure things out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about just, you know, pulling from wherever, you know, get the free trial of Final Cut Pro and figure it out. So that's how.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Our producers' ears, they kind of perked up when you mentioned Final Cut Pro.
Oh man, it was.
So what are your plans with the new project? What are your plans?
Well, definitely doing a lot more, trying to get the home concerts going, and that'll be something good that comes out of this. Doing more videos. You know, the way the Shoulda Been video came about, we had footage from the studio and from the band room when we actually recorded it. But we didn't have any video of me back in the booth with my guitar and singing the song and playing. So what did we do? We just said, okay, here's what we got. We got the band on one side. We don't have any of Kirsten. So I've got a pit that's right there. That's like out the basement. And so we went down into the pit and just filmed from the pit in New York City. You know, it's a cool backdrop. And yeah. And I think the neighbors kind of thought I was crazy down in this little dungeon area.
And you got to do what you got to do to make it happen, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So we'll be doing a lot more home.
Say it again. Say that again. You got a lot more home.
Oh, we'll do a lot more home videos and Zoom concerts and looking at creative ways to kind of get the band in the room without being in the room, or finding creative spaces to film our show or do live shows.
All right. You know, I always ask if you can sing. I've got a microphone.
Uh-oh.
Take us out with a short piece of snippet or whatever. If you can, if you want to. If not, we'll just have to wait and go to your website. You want to give us your website?
Yeah, it's kirstenthien.com. KirstenThien. And I'll sing a little bit of Say It Out Loud.
Okay. There we go.
If you want it, you gotta go out and find it.
Uh-oh.
I can't tell you what it is, 'cause it's yours, not mine. It's that thing saw when you were just a kid. It sparked your dreams, and you know it did. If you really want it, then say it out loud. Just say it out loud.
Kirsten Thien, yay, all right. That's what I'm talking about. Singer, songwriter, and guitar player. Where's the guitar? Which one are you using?
In the room.
Hurry up, go get. No, I'm only kidding. Give us the website one more time where we get all your information there.
KirstenThien.com.
Kirsten, thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Virtual hugs.
Virtual hugs. Oh, I feel good.
All right. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything.
Thanks a lot.
Kirsten Thien right there. Singer, songwriter. She's a producer and a guitarist too. She has the Final Cut Pro and the whole nine. We'll take a break right here. I've got more. And in fact, Bobby C is going to give you the latest in the world of sports. Check it out.
When taking public transportation, don't touch your phone. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately upon leaving the bus or train. Avoid touching your face. If someone is coughing or sneezing, move away. Wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible. Limit contact with poles. If possible, avoid rush hour. Don't eat or drink on public transportation. Keep your bag off the floor or other surfaces. Avoid directly touching turnstiles. Stay up to date with the latest from your local health department and CDC.
Good morning, sports fans. Joined here on the show this morning by author David Krell to talk about his new book, The New York Mets and Popular Culture, a collection of critical essays. David, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Bobby.
The first question I wanted to ask you was, when do you think the Mets will win the World Series again?
Well, Mets fans are always optimistic, and under new ownership, who knows, maybe it's 2021 if Mr. Cohen opens up his checkbook, which seems likely, and we get some high-powered free agents. You never know. Stranger things have happened.
Absolutely, David. And this book is so great because you really have put together a terrific collection of essays from so many different authors, yourself included. And what I love most about it is just kind of shows exactly how much passion there is from the Mets fan base. And I've said this oftentimes as someone that grew up here in the Bronx and a Yankee fan, as great as the tradition is for the Yankees, I think there's something special whenever the Mets are actually good. We saw it a couple of years ago in 2015 when they reached the World Series. And every time, it's either the Miracle Mets or the Amazing Mets.
Right.
And this book really captures so many of those ups and downs. One of the essays that I enjoyed was spoke specifically about pop culture in the sense of the Mets being featured in films like The Odd Couple and City Slickers. Talk a little bit about some of the essays in the book.
Well, I put out the call for papers on the University of Pennsylvania website. That's where academics go to find writing opportunities in academia. It's publish or perish. And we got some academics, we got some people from SABR, and some people I recruited myself. So we have a diversity, Bobby. It runs the gamut. Rheingold Beer, the first beer sponsor for the Mets. Joan Payson, who should be in the Hall of Fame, but is not for reasons passing understanding. We have the Mets in Movies chapter that you referenced. I wrote about Sports Phone. We have a chapter on Shea Stadium's rock concerts. The Mets and hip hop is a big essay. So this really will surprise even diehard fans of the orange and blue.
David, I think too, like even for our Yankee fans that are watching, I mean, again, the Mets have had some ups and downs. They've had some great years, but they've also had a terrific cast of characters through the years, some of which, of course, have overlap between the Yankees and the Mets. One of which is Dave Kingman, King Kong Dave Kingman. There's an essay and a story in this book about Dave Kingman. Talk about some of the cast of characters that the Mets have had through the decades that make them kind of, one of the teams that people enjoy watching and rooting for.
Well, it begins with Casey Stengel. It definitely begins with Casey Stengel. He was the guy who marketed the Mets. He was the manager, part of New York royalty, managed the Yankee teams in the 50s, was a Dodgers manager in the 30s for a brief time. So his kind of crusty, lovable persona really helped market the team. They were 40 and 120 in 1962, but people loved them. They loved coming to the ballpark. They loved the National League stars coming back to New York once again. And Kingman, certainly during those down years in the late 70s, he was pretty much the only bright spot. It was a pretty good chance that he was going to hit the ball over the fence. That essay was written by a buddy of mine, Charlie Vassalaro. Mr. Met is a character. You cannot talk about the Mets without Mr. Met. And Mr. Met influenced the entire mascot industry. Some people would say he even created the mascot industry. And that was authored by a buddy of mine from Villanova. We went to law school together, Marty Lesner. the Shea Stadium rock concerts that I mentioned. You could argue that the Beatles are part of Mets lore because of their iconic concert at Shea Stadium. Joan Payson, I mentioned, and gosh, so many others, Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, Tom Seaver, John Matlack, Jerry Koosman, Gil Hodges, another Met who should be in the Hall of Fame. He would probably go in as a Dodger, but the Mets fans surely know his place in history. And some of these folks should be adorned more than they are, and we should be honoring them with statues, not just Mr. Seaver. Joan Payson, William Shea, who was responsible for the Mets even being created, a behind-the-scenes guy, a lawyer who knew politics, who was politically connected. Mayor Wagner asked him to find a National League team to bring to New York. Nobody wanted to come. The Continental League was formed. It failed before it even got off the ground. But out of the Continental League, we got 4 expansion teams, and the Mets were one of them.
You know, and you can't talk about the Mets also without speaking about some of their great announcers throughout the years. One story also hits on Bob Murphy, who is one of my favorite announcers of all time, the Happy Recap. Speak a little bit about Bob.
Well, Donna Halper wrote that essay, and it was great because Donna grew up listening to Bob Murphy before he was with the Mets. And I didn't know too much about Murph before 1962. I knew he was part of the first announcing team. I grew up in the 70s and 80s listening to him. And I think he still gets short shrift if you talk about the pantheon of announcers. Ernie Harwell with the Tigers, Vince Scully with the Dodgers. And Murph doesn't really get those accolades. And I'm not sure why. He was in a major market. But for those of us who grew up in the New York area during a certain time, he was the voice of our summers and springs. He was on the transistor radio. He was on television. He was on the radio when you're having barbecues. So he was really part of our background when you're a Mets fan.
You know, David, you've written already a couple of books. I mean, you did a great job with your book on the Brooklyn Dodgers and also on the New York Yankees. Why now decide to do one on the New York Mets?
Well, McFarland had mentioned while I was at the end of the Yankees book, maybe doing a Red Sox in popular culture book, maybe doing a Cubs in popular culture book. And I said, I can't do a Yankees book and not do a Mets book immediately following. That's heresy. I have to do a Mets book. And I think that when you read this book, you come across a diversity of topics. When you read the Yankees in popular culture, which I edited, you know what the foundation topics are going to be before you open the book. You know that there will be talk about DiMaggio and Mantle and Reggie Jackson and Billy Martin and Yankee Stadium and Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Now, the authors in that book did a tremendous job in fresh approaches, new angles on those subjects, but there were no surprises in the foundation topics. This book, who would expect the Mets and hip hop? When's the last time you heard people talking seriously about Joan Payson or Bob Murphy? When's the last time we talked about Dave Kingman as an icon? So there are surprises, and in every page, you will come across with something where you say, gee, I didn't know that before, even if you're a diehard fan.
Yeah, I think that this book is something for baseball fans, you know, regardless of whether being a Met fan.
Yes,
I think one of the things that stood out for me, and I really love the book, you did a great job on it, is just simply that fact that it's a book that can speak to any person that loves baseball.
Well, I have to admit, I've been getting a lot of praise for the book, but this was by no means a solo operation. I had a team of contributors that really went down and explored nooks and crannies that I did not even anticipate in getting their research together, getting their topics together. So this was very much a team effort, and I want to highlight their contributions because it doesn't work without them. And it doesn't work without people at the Hall of Fame or your local library or the people who do newspapers.com or newspaperarchive.com, where you can get stuff and download newspapers from 100 years ago if you want. In our case, 50, 60 years ago. So we had these people coming, Bobby, from all different walks of life, all different disciplines. And I think that's what makes the book interesting, that we have a curator from the New York Historical Society, Deborah Bach talking about Rheingold. We have some Sabre folks that you'll recognize if you are a member of Sabre and you see the Baseball Research Journal. Donna Halper is one example. Bill Lamb, who wrote about the 19th century Mets. Bill Reisig, who wrote about Casey Stengel. We have academics like Jermaine King, who wrote about the Mets and hip hop, and the three authors who wrote about Shea Stadium's rock concerts, Derek Stadler, Alexander Rojas, and Elizabeth Jardine. So it really is if you put all of us together in a room, we're all different people with all different walks of life, all different disciplines, but we have this commonality, which is the Mets, and we went on different avenues. And I'm proud to say no topic really overlaps any other topic. They're not maybe by a little bit, but certainly you're not going to read one and say, oh, I saw that in chapter 4. I don't need to read that one. That's not going to happen in this book.
The New York Mets and popular culture from a Mets fan. Thanks so much, David, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Bobby.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bobby, and our next guest is a member of the Bronx Mpowerment Project, and he joins us today to speak about the services his organization provides for the LGBTQ community. Please welcome to the show, Project Coordinator Reginal Juste.
Hi, nice to meet you.
That's how you say it, right?
That is how you say it, Reginal Juste. That's correct.
All right, we get juiced up. Here we go. Tell us about your organization, Reginald.
Thank you. So I'm the project coordinator again for the Bronx Empowerment Project. We call it the BX Empowerment Project. It's an evidence-based intervention from CDC, the Center for Disease Control. They have contracted us under the management of Montefiore Medical Center to provide services to the LGBT community. Services like rapid HIV testing, information, and intakes on PrEP and PEP, which is that HIV prevention pill. And also supportive services like weekly meetings. Additional to that, we find them LGBTQ identifying providers, which Montefiore has a lot of. So shout out to Montefiore for being very competent on LGBTQ care.
And what role do you play within the Bronx Empowerment Project?
So as a coordinator, I conduct outreach. So I'm the head of outreach. So how we do it in the empowerment, what we're pretty much known for is integrating entertainment with those services. So for instance, we will, not during COVID, of course, actually we had a little mini social event. Of course, we couldn't have more than 20 people, mask and the whole shebang, but we usually rent out a space or do it in our headquarters office in Uptown, which is in the north side of the Bronx, Bainbridge area. Yeah. And we just, provide fun activities, whether it be a game night, whether it be during the holidays doing a give back. We offer those services to them, rapid testing, if they need information on PrEP. We also have a food pantry. And so basically, so if we're not hosting it, we're hosting it with someone else and just providing our services. So again, we just integrate our services with whatever's going on. During the pandemic, we did a lot of revamping because there was a lot of virtual things that we had to do.
Yeah. How has it changed? I mean, the pandemic is here, and I guess your outreach is somewhat different. Tell us about it.
Yeah, because usually our outreach is done in the community, right? And being that everything is shut down, we had to go virtually. So we're definitely on social media a lot. I do a lot of live broadcasting and outreach online. It's in a way better because we're keeping our social distance. And I tend to realize that online, you can reach more people when you dedicate that time to social media. And just figure out the ways to integrate it. Because before we would do events, so we were looking a lot on popular trends on Instagram, like talent shows. We did a lot of online talent shows that really helped us. So we would give back, but also if people needed those services, they would be there for them to inquire about the services. So we've done online talent shows, online panels and discussions, Zoom, of course.
Yeah. What do you have coming up? And of course, it's going to be through Zoom, probably.
Yes, we've been navigating through different apps. We noticed that a lot of people have been doing live broadcasting on different platforms. So definitely on Zoom, definitely on those different social media platforms that people are live broadcasting on because it's a bigger reach. But we have a virtual sip and paint coming soon from home. So we're doing a virtual sip and paint, and we'll do another in-person mini social. Again, it cannot be more than 20 people. Everyone has to have their mask. So we're still trying that back out to see how that works. But that's what's coming up next.
Yeah.
And then our holiday give back.
How's that going to work?
So the holiday gift back, our food pantry's always been open during the pandemic. If you can imagine, there were so many people, especially a lot of undocumented people who didn't receive any services at all. So the food pantry's probably been our busiest since the pandemic has hit. So during the time of food pantry, we will allow people one at a time to come and get some free clothing if they need it. The weather is getting definitely cold in New York, so we always want to do it around November to just give back. So we ask a lot of our social media friends and influencers to bring in their clothes. We make sure that it's clean, or we clean them ourselves, and we just let the people of the community take what they need.
When does that start, Reginald?
That I don't have the exact date, to be honest, in front of me. We usually do it towards the end of November, around Christmas time. So not Christmas time, Thanksgiving. So right before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So right before people go on
you said it right. You said it right because they start promoting Thanksgiving or Christmas now, right after Halloween.
Okay,
so you're on track. You're on track. So right after Thanksgiving, you know.
Well, yeah. So no, we try to do it right before Thanksgiving because we know a lot of people go away during the holidays, even though it's, you know, we are in a pandemic. Still, people do travel, whether it's by car to their loved ones. So we try to do it right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So how do people get the information as to where to go? You know, there are a lot of hungry people out there. You're right, and a lot who are undocumented. And they're looking for those, you know, those services.
Absolutely. So we're located at 3058 Bainbridge Avenue in the north side of the Bronx. For the food pantry, all you would need is your a valid ID, and that is about it. We also give free Pampers and formula milk, so just proof of the child, and you can get free Pampers and formula milk as well. You can also follow us on our Instagram, which is the BX Mpowerment, the letter M, Empowerment Project, and it's the Bronx Empowerment Project on Facebook as well.
There you go. All right, so you have all of that going. You're doing a lot of great things. Are you looking for volunteers, or are you looking for people to donate money? How are you funded?
Absolutely. So again, we are fully funded from the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control.
Yeah.
We are contracted by them to provide the services, and it's managed by Montefiore. Because we are managed by Montefiore, all volunteers have to go through that volunteer process. So it's just like getting a job. They do a full screening, full drug and alcohol, and background check, because like, again, it's a huge medical system. So they just want to make sure that you are good, because you're going to be around not only their employees, but of course, potential patients and patients.
You are fully vetted. You are fully vetted. So if they want to get involved, they have to contact some people at Montefiore?
The Montefiore Volunteers Office, correct. And they would just say that they want to volunteer at the Montefiore Prevention Center, which is the newest department at Montefiore.
There you go. What's the website again?
Our website is www.nycengage.org.
There you go. Thank you so much. Give him a big round of applause. You see all the people? Give him a big round of applause. Reginal Juste, Project.
Thank you. Stay
Bronx
safe, everyone.
Mpowerment Project. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. All right.
Thank you.
I'm the Doc Bob Lee. For all of us here at BronxNet, have a great, enjoyable day. And I love you all. And I'll catch you over 107.5 WVLS.